Well, good evening to everyone. We have a special guest today, which we will have her on in just a few moments here. Just a few quick updates on things going on. For those in Patreon, a video just went up. I had quite a few emails. I did send a whole bunch of stuff back. So if you have an email out to me, go back and check because I had some questions for quite a few people. I want to get them covered as soon as possible. Another video coming out tomorrow. One thing I wanted to call out real quick here. If you do end in self-similar and you change quantity of any of your items because of something sold on another site and you zero them out, you've got to delete those before you can go and end them in self-similar. Just FYI. That was a new issue that I found yesterday, which I'll probably have a video out, but key and important, and that may be a reason why some people are reselling something that they already sold. And I'll explain it in the video. Just again, that has come to attention, and two of the people who were having the issue are having the same reasoning that I have. So anyway, before further ado, we have someone very special. She's been around the block quite a few times, been on a lot of other channels as well. She just went full time. We've got Kat. I'm going to pull her on here. We're going to let her introduce herself, and we'll go into some conversation from there.
Hello, everybody. Dawn, first, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. To those of you that don't know, I was a full-time nurse. I have been reselling off and on since 1999, mainly on eBay, and I built up my reselling business over the last 3 years to go part-time last year, and then this year I have completely quit nursing, which was super stressful. And I do have my channel here on YouTube. I do a lot of educational videos. I do what sold. I do a lot of what sold, so you see what I'm selling. I think the only thing I would like to mention, I have my eBay seminar camp coming up a week from tomorrow, and it was sold out, and we have one room. We had a last minute emergency available. So if you guys might be interested in coming to in-person training, I have that coming up a week from tomorrow.
I'll have to ask you on that. I had a question about that. I knew you had talked about that last time. I was on her channel not too long ago with Dom, and I think he's in the chat somewhere here. I'm full-time. Kat's full-time. I don't know about you, but I never anticipated on actually being a full-time seller. I never even thought it was something you could do for a living to begin with. How did you get from nurse? You said you're an RN, is that not correct?
Yes.
How did you? I have a mom who's an RN. My mom's an RN. My wife's mom is an RN too. So, how did you get from that? It's such a I guess a distance apart, those two professions. I guess. How did you ever get to the point where you're now quitting a RN position, which I know they pay fairly decent depending on where you're at, to where you're at now?
So for me, I've been reselling, like I said, since the 90s, kind of off and on. I would do it. I'd get bored with it. I'd stop. And then I had my son who is 3. I started over. I have a 20 and a 22-year-old. My 22-year-old's actually married. And then I got remarried. I lost 3 babies before Dalton, who, if people watch my channel, they see him a lot. And so my really big push was I wanted something to be at home with him. So I had been doing reselling off and on. And then after I had him, I'm like, I'm going to do this because I wanted to be at the house more. So I just pushed and pushed. And as far as like monetarily wise, it's very hard to replace a salary from an RN with reselling. So it did take 2.5 years to build it up. And basically what I did, since I still had my RN income, was everything that I sold, all the profits went right back into the business, and I just kept building it and building it.
That's several good points. With we took a couple of years, almost 3 full-time years, just to get enough where we were bringing enough in for like a full-time income. And I guess everybody has a point that they have to get, or a mark they have to get, to decide whether they're going to go full-time. Obviously, if you have no choice, you have to make revenue. You're full-time whether you like it or not. One of the other aspects that I hear a lot of folks on is, again, something you hit on as well, is freedom. For me, even if I made less money than we had at a traditional place, the freedom, oh my gosh, I just can't express enough how how different, how enjoyable it is, even if you're working long hours, because it's all your time. You can do whatever you want with it. I had a small child when we first started as well. It do your kids help you at all, I guess, is a question. I know obviously the youngest wouldn't be helping you, but
So I tried to get the 22-year-old to do it. He did it for a couple of days, and then I could tell he wasn't interested by the quality of his work. And I told him, never mind. And then, but his wife actually has expressed interest. And after my camp, I'm going to try to train her. And then my 20-year-old daughter, which she is in college currently for nursing, she actually quit her job a week after mine, and she is doing listings for me. And she's actually doing about 150 a week, and it's only her third week into that. So she is really, really motivated and driven like me. My 22-year-old has a little bit of the opposite. So my 20-year-old, my business is her only income as well now. She quit her other job too.
Now we have employees as well. Kids work here. How are you paying them, if you don't mind me paying her? Is it just a flat salary, or are you doing commission or anything else like that, or combination?
I'm doing by the listing. So my niece was working for me as well. And I actually have another employee, a friend of mine, who lists from her home. She'll take inventory and we trade back and forth. And I was paying hourly, and I found I wasn't getting enough work out of it with my niece. And that was when I just had her. So I switched her over to kind of commission based. I pay by the listing. And then if they hit 100 listings, I give them a bonus. If they hit 150, I give them another bonus. So my daughter's goal is that 150 mark, because she gets 2 bonuses, and I pay $2 a listing, and then I give them $50 bonus for the 100 and another 50 for 150. So she ends up making $3 a listing if she does 150 in a week.
I would imagine then that you have an accountant that does all that for you too.
I do, and I pay him for payroll. So we actually switched over to S Corp status for next year. We are not filing S Corp this year. We just started payroll in January. So I'm also on the payroll. That way I'm still paying into Social Security and Medicaid and all of that, and got my own insurance, which is being paid out of the business. But yeah, I've had an accountant since I was making about $2,000 a month, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. So I've actually had the same accountant for almost 3 years now. And I pay him to do all of my bookkeeping, and now I'm paying him a little bit extra to do the payroll as well.
Yeah, we've had accountant for like 10 years, I think now. They just raised it. I just got an email and they just raised it. We pay $65 a month for the payroll aspect. That's workman's comp and payroll taxes and the whole works. They handle everything. That's 12 employees. 2 paychecks a month. I mean, it's pretty reasonable for those who have somebody out there. Would never attempt to do that on your own, regardless, just for legality and simplicity and the whole works. We do something simple. I pay an hourly, and then they get a commission based 5% of whatever they sell. And my oldest one usually makes couple hundred extra bucks easy just on commission. My youngest son isn't as thrilled about it as my oldest one, but that's how it works with that. Now, for us, we had to hit a hurdle. How many listings do you have up, if you don't mind me asking?
I think I'm right at 4,200.
So very reasonable amount. Was there a certain percentage? Everybody asked this. I don't know how many times I've had this question personally asked to me, either in groups or Patreon or something. What's the mark you hit where you had a considerable, a steady flow coming in where it felt like a normal job, I guess, is the boil down point there?
As far as a regular job, probably just here recently. To see sales every day, once I got about 500 listings, I was, making regular sales, but not anywhere near enough for a regular, job income. I think it really depends. I do a lot of long tail. So with 4,000 listings, we sell 10 to 20 items per day that could be from $3 up to $3,000. So I don't even have like the 0.5% sell through or 1%. I'm nowhere near that. But it's what I like. I like what I'm doing, and we're consistently now we're doing 300 to 350 a day in sales, with quite a few 500, 750, and $1,000 days, which is really, really nice.
Yeah, I get pretty much similar standpoint. We're obviously we have more listings, so ours is exponentially higher the more listings you have. Do you feel it's more the quantity because of your structure of long tail that drives your business, or are you more so strictly going after like eBay with the high valued items? Where's the bread and butter of your business, I guess, is the question.
Probably like the 10, 15, $20 items that sell regular. I'm trying to get more higher dollar items, but I love buying lots. And typically with lots, you're going to get those lower value items along with, like 3 or 4 higher dollar items. So I like buying that way, because the lots I get stuff for $1, $2 a piece. And I, very likely, now that I've learned a lot, I've developed an eye, and I can very commonly get, $50, $100 items out of lots where I'm paying only $1 a piece. So that's where I end up having a lot of, like I even have like $5 items in my store, and I'm okay with that. Because I got them, I figure I have them, I might as well list them, and they end up only being about $1 in profit after I pay somebody to list them, but I get that money back for the lot. And the lot's in profit. Typically, the more expensive stuff will sell faster, making everything else that sells from that lot profit.
Yeah, that's if the folks out there who listening, if you haven't gotten it, that the biggest businesses, the biggest resellers that I know are volume. Everything's about volume in here, it seems. And if you're going to do long tail, which in my opinion is really the best, you've got to have volume. You've got to have it. There's no way I'm going to walk out there. I'm sure Kat's going to walk out there and find $1,000 item every single day of the week, or $2,000, $3,000. They're out there. There's still those high dollar ones, which we find occasionally, but I don't worry about that as much anymore. I don't even look at my sell-through rate on anything I sell anymore. I don't even look at that. I don't look at my views. I don't look at my watchers. The only thing that matters is the dollar amount that rolls in per day. And Kat knows her numbers. I always like to hear when somebody's telling me numbers. It's always a very good sign that they know their business. So if you don't know your numbers, you need to start learning your numbers, because it's the only way you're going to run your business, and it's not going to run you. If you're just up in the air on all that stuff, you don't know it on a daily basis, you don't know what your average, your best items are, you got a problem. You need to figure that out, in all honesty. Let's hop over to another question I hear all the time. What's the hardest part of this for you to learn? I've been asked that dozens and dozens of times. You probably have too. What's the hardest aspect of being a reseller? Some advice on fixing that for you. What fixed the issues for you that was the hardest?
Whether I think for new people, shipping. I think shipping is for new people. I do all calculated shipping. So I think as long as you weigh the item and make sure your measurements are right, that kind of takes the guesswork out of it. And I think also calculating fees in, and like for myself, I'm paying somebody. So I also have to calculate in paying people, electricity. So I think a lot of it, like when you're new, you see, oh, this item sells for $50, but you're not seeing you're going to have $12 to $20 in fees, and you have electric for that, and you have shipping supplies. So I always figure like 50% of what I'm making is going towards cost, whether it's labor, the cost of the item, shipping supplies, whatever. So any numbers I throw out, typically half of that is mine. And like the bulk buy has been like a winner for me. Me going to auction lots and buying lots versus hand picking. I think it depends on your location. Where I'm at, it's very rural.
I think you've totally froze up on my end. Not to
hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, it looks like you may have stopped.
I'm gonna go out and back in.
You're moving again now. Oh, give her just a second here. She's having some storms. We've got heavy wind here by our house too, like 40 or 50 mile an hour gusts. The temperature's been all over the place. I don't know what everybody else is dealing with, but that's the way it's been around here. Lots of storms rolling through. I know our in-laws had some storms with tornadoes down in the Gulf Coast area. For those here, she's popping back in. That's Let's get her back in here. There
I
we are.
switched my internet, so hopefully this will work a little bit better.
If you want to continue from there, on the hardest aspect we were discussing in shipping was where we left off.
Yeah, shipping, and then I was saying buying, like realizing that the fees, like I wouldn't go spend $30 for something to sell for 50 because you're probably going to break even, if not lose money. So buying lots and auctions was the way for me because I'm in a rural area. So like thrifting is pretty non-existent where I'm at. Like finding like regular stuff, and especially enough volume you need to make a full-time income, I think, unless you're in a very populated area with a bunch of thrift stores, thrifting is just not going to be sufficient enough to supply your business. So I think finding, like I started with pallets because I was watching everybody on YouTube and I liked the excitement and what's in pallets. And then I quickly realized I was getting a bunch of junk. I was getting stuff I couldn't use. It was taking a lot of time to go through it. And from there, I moved to the online auctions. And I think we discussed it on my show. I will still buy pallets of like one item of shelf pulls or like old stock. I will still buy pallets like that, but I don't buy like the returns pallets or anything like that anymore.
Where were you buying your pallets from, if you don't mind me asking?
There was a local place, so it kind of sucks on the East Coast because I wanted to get my hands on some Amazon return pallets, and Amazon's out on the West Coast, so to get them on the East Coast was like very, very costly because you would have to have them shipped from at least mid-country. So there was a little local, well, 2 hours for me, company that was getting in trucks from like Walmart, Target, Lowe's, Home Depot. We were doing a lot of like lighting and things like that. The best pallet we ever got was a Lowe's. They pulled one brand of tools to replace it with another. So we got a whole pallet full of brand new tools. And I mean, that was probably 15,000 in profit, but you never saw them again. You know, it was like a one-off, you know, and you're not going to find that stuff regular.
Yeah, I look for those. Our best one was an entire pallet. I mean, it was like a 4 foot tall of flea and tick medicine for cats and dogs.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever made so much from a pallet. We've only done a few pallets, but it all sold really quick. We got it just before summer. You got to be really careful with that stuff. I've seen enough personal experiences from people that I know that have bought pallets, and you know, those are so hit or miss. You almost have better luck with storage units from our personal experience. I'd feel more.
I haven't done those. I'm scared of those. Just like with all of the throwaway stuff you would have to deal with, and moving furniture and stuff fast when you don't, like, I don't sell locally. So, you know, moving furniture and stuff like I would have to buy a storage unit, I think, if I went to, I won't lie, I get emails with storage unit auctions, but none of them have been appealing enough to make me make that jump.
Well, in some cases, we've done some. In some cases, if it was furniture and we didn't want to mess with the furniture, we just literally called and said, hey, would you, for one of the local thrift stores, and they came and picked it up.
Oh, so yeah, and just donate it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to donate it, they'll usually get it for free. So if you don't want to mess with it, but around here, we've got a secondhand place where I could sell it it'd be pretty cheap, but I would never have to store it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've done that for a very long time. Bulk, though, is you hear her say as well. If you haven't got into bulk and you're still sitting there fighting, she's out. Kat's situation is about the same. Around here, thrifting is dead. I would not be able to live. I've said this many times. If I had to live on thrifting, I wouldn't be anywhere. I'd be in the soup kitchen, you know, waiting for food, because there's just no way around here. And even if you go to a bigger city in some areas, the competition is just horrendous these days, with even estate sales and thrift stores. All the ones around here, there's one that auctions, has a big auction here. So all the good stuff goes there at Goodwill's. There's Savers went under. They both went under. Most of the small mom and pop are under these days. So there's like 4 thrift stores in our area, and there's just no way to do it. And bins. Do you have a bin? Goodwill bins? You ever been?
Not, I have been. And I went because I travel a lot. So I went when I was in Birmingham, Alabama, and found quite a bit. As far as where I'm at, it's 2 hours to the closest bins, and Orlando is fiercely competitive. Like, it's like the elbows throwing, the crazy videos you see. Birmingham was really, really calm. And I actually went in Pennsylvania too when I was just there, but I didn't find much. So for me to drive, I hate to drive 2 hours hoping that I'm going to find something. I would rather buy a bunch from an auction. I drive up to like 4 or 5 hours each way because I know I'm getting thousands of dollars in inventory. One swoop, drive there, pick it up, bring it home.
Yeah, I just basically drew a circle on a map, and we'll hit that range. Anything in there, I'll drive. I'll drive out of state for stuff too. Auctions are
Yeah.
good. A lot of people are avoiding them or worried about them, or they get into the auction fever and they bid too much and they don't calculate what they're going to get out of it. And the time factor, from what I see too, a lot of people miss the whole aspect on counting their time, how much time it's going to take you. Lots, though, are just always, 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 always the best bet, in my opinion. Shipping wise, what exactly was the biggest issue with shipping? Calculating weights? Is that one of your issues, or not now, of course? But what do you think would be, for someone new getting into it, the biggest issue on it that would cost you? Obviously, if you mess up the weights, you already collect the money, you're going
Right.
to lose money. But
Yeah, I think the weight's the biggest thing. And now with the new postal rules, the over 22 inches, if you're selling anything longer, I know I see Julian in the chat, my co-host, Bearded Thrift. He does a lot of golf clubs, so he's getting hit hard with that. Um, I've seen people overcharge for shipping. So I do eBay store reviews in my eBay or in my channel membership. And I've seen a lot of newer people putting priority on items that should be first class. So their items don't sell because they have their shipping at $9 or $11 versus 5 or 6. So I think a lot of people get scared with it and kind of overestimate the weight, and then that in turn hurts their sales. So I think being really accurate. For me, I do a lot of big stuff. I do a lot of art, and I shipped wheelchairs. So for those, I go like 4 inches over the size of the item and add a few pounds for the box. And typically, though, those bigger items for me have a lot of profit built in. So if I'm $20 off on shipping, it's not like a game changer for me if I have to, pay that out of my pocket.
she knows her numbers again. I'm telling you, the number aspect is the biggest thing that I can tell you. If you're new, you got to know that I do something similar. If it's so big, add 2 inches to the size dimensions of the box, 4 inches if it's even bigger, if it's breakable, minimum 4 to 6 inches. You've got to know, like, I know how much the empty boxes weigh. I know how much a record shipment's going to be, no matter what it is, whether it's 78 records that weigh 14 and a half pounds, whatever it is. You've got to have those numbers and realize that when you're out shopping. Are you kind of like, too, when you're out, you already kind of know how much you're going to list it for, how you're going to ship it before you buy it?
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I don't thrift that often. So most of mine is auctions and it's lots, but I definitely take into account if it's a heavier, bigger item, does it have enough profit? For one, that people are going to be willing to pay for this heavy item to be shipped to them. I saw somebody say it, I've been obsessed with linens lately, which is true. But linens are light. So I definitely am trying to find more light things. I just bought 600 Harley pins. Again, I'm at 3 ounces for both of those items. So that's a lot of the stuff I like to get in bulk. And then like with the Harley pins, I got lucky. I had like a 1940s one. I had a sterling silver. So again, finding those gems in the lot, and the rest will sell for $15, $20, $25. But in the grand scheme of things, it's going to be over 4,000 in profit. So I definitely look at the bigger items. I actually left one at a thrift store this weekend. It was like 80 in profit, but I was like, I don't want to ship this big glass bowl and all these cups for, $50, $60 in profit and take a chance that it was a punch bowl. It was a glass punch bowl.
Yeah, that's what I figured. We've shipped 2 or 3 of those in the past. Only if they were like $500 or $600, we're gonna get out of them. I would mess with them these days. It's too much of a risk, a hassle, and one cup could be broken, and they might want to return the entire thing because of that one cup, and then you're on the hook. And yeah. Here's some. I had a big long discussion. I know a lot of us old timers have been on the added fee for over certain length items. We've been hoping eBay would step in on that. eBay alluded to that in something that we actually saw. So I'm on the same assumption as many other people we talked to. We're hoping they're going to come in with it. Now, with the added fee, I just wanted to bring this up. If you're going to be paying that extra fee to send a golf club or whatever you're going to be sending, so is everybody else. So it's just like it was before. All it's going to do is everybody is going to have to pay that extra fee. It's not
Yeah.
like it's just you. So the end of the discussion, if somebody wants what you have, it doesn't matter if it's a $15 fee or not, because everybody else is going to have that same fee. I would use UPS because it's a little cheaper probably, but that's just me. We have an account anyway. So I just wanted to touch on that with like lots like Kat's talking about with the Harley Davidson pins. We've had lots of those as well too, and I know exactly what she's talking about because most everything I buy, and I do mean almost every single thing we buy in a lot, and one or two items will sell right off the bat, and the whole lot's free after that point. And I do mean everything. We go through, I don't go through sell-through rates, but what we were going through, I was looking at category specifics, and I know I talk about buttons a lot, but I was looking at how much profit we've made for this small amount we have up. And for that purchase, we're going to make like a couple $100,000 from that one single purchase of $15,000. Well, it's a multiple, but the point of it is we invested $15,000. We're going to make a couple $100,000, which is more than I've ever made, from any specific deal in my entire life. It's those bulk purchases that will, I wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for bulk purchases. And it sounds like that's the same thing for you. Bulk purchases are the majority of what you buy and sell.
Yeah. And like, as I was building the store, I was lucky enough, I had a local auction about 2 hours away that did not value glass and collectibles. So I got a ton of box lots for $1. And for like 20 items, and that really helped to boost it up. And like these Harley pins, I think my daughter's through almost 200 already in a week and a half. So having someone to list them, and if not, pins are easy. It's front and back, and we're zooming in if it shows the year, showing it with a tape measure. So they're really easy. Same thing with the linen. So I'm all about like front and back, and show a tape measure and you're done. I love the easy listing stuff.
So this my philosophy, and it sounds like you must do something similar. When you're listing items, are you worried about quantity or dollar value? Like I try to get, if somebody's listing one of my employees, we try to at least get them to be able to list $400 plus of value an hour. I don't so much even care about the quantity as much. It depends on the value. And along with that, when you obviously are going for speed, I would say too. Do you think it's essential to take 12 photos like eBay recommends for a postcard or a pin, or even for clothing? We never did a dozen for a t-shirt. If it's a t-shirt, 5 was max, as long as there's no damage or holes. Is that what would be your thoughts on those issues?
That's about the same. Like I said, like the linens, it's front, back. I might do a close up of the design if it's a cross stitch or something, if I want them to see the, the intricacy of the work, and then a tape measure, and that's it. So I do minimal. I haven't really looked at the goals because having people listing, especially now, I'm going to end up having 4 people. My sister-in-law also is asking to start listing for me, which I'm fine with because, of course, I love the buying aspect of it. I would buy stuff kind of tailored to the people that were listing because I knew who could list stuff like good. So I would specifically like look for scarves or handkerchiefs. And I think as it goes on, I will probably move up the dollar value a little bit, because right now I have like the Harley pins, there's a lot of, $10, $15, but they can get through them fast. So that's more a quantity thing versus like a dollar amount. Like I would say I can do 30 to 40 in an hour myself. I'm pretty fast because I've been doing it so long. My daughter is probably doing 20, 25 an hour. So she's at like, $250, and unless those $50 pens are marked in there. So I am the one that looks them up and researches and prices them. So I'll go back, like she does the title, the photos, and I come back and I will add the keywords. I'm like, I'm insane about keywords and that helping sell stuff. So I'll go add the keywords because she hasn't been selling on eBay. So she doesn't know, like, and I like vintage at the beginning of my listing. She's been putting them in the middle. So I have to like go rearrange. So I told her that. So it's just kind of working through that stuff. with them. I'm lucky my friend that lists for me, which she has a full-time job working from home, she watches my videos. So her titles are like spot on because she's been watching me. So she knows about like keywords. She knows how I like my pictures. And so hers, I don't have to change as much, which is nice. And I'm thinking I might have them watch like my keyword video and my photography video before I bring them here to train them. I think that might be really beneficial.
Do you train now? All of my employees can do everything here. We price. That's about the only thing. The wife and I are the ones who price most stuff. Some of my oldest one prices a few things, and my youngest does military. But are you the only one who prices then, the way it sounds?
Yeah, right now, yeah.
So it's kind of
I just think it is much like I'm so eclectic in what I sell, and a lot of it really depends on what is on the auction. So like the Harley pins, I actually got them because I was looking at some Swarovski ornaments. And whenever I look at auctions, I always go see, I'm like, what else do they have? And it turned out the whole auction was packed full of vintage Harley stuff. So I will look at everything and see what they have. So I have such a variety. I think training someone to price, just because like right now, actually, I'm buying a lot of jewelry, but then I might go back to the linen. I'm all over the place because I don't like getting bored. I kind of do whatever, and I'll get a ton of one type of thing. And then if I feel the store is kind of saturated in that, then I go find something else.
That's something that I think most people should do anyway. We rotate the merchandise we have because it builds a bigger footprint on the website. So if you, like in small niches, if you're selling, say, napkins or cloth or embroidered stuff or buttons or whatever you're selling, postcards, there's a limited quantity of people that are going to buy anything. And if you flood the categories up, they can only buy so much. So you've got to realize that too. I think, truthfully, spreading out what you list and rotating. We have a 90-day plan. Well, we kind of messed that up a little bit with stuff going on, but we'll set stuff aside for months before we list it. We kind of stagger it. So we'll have like a group of this goes up and then a group of that. I think that's better, honestly. And as she said too, it's not boring. I could, anytime I don't want to do something, or Kat, I'm sure she just flip on and do something else. Because that,
yeah,
again, it's
I
our
asked my
job.
daughter, I'm like, are you tired of the Harley pins yet? And she's like, no, Mom, they're easy. And I'm like, man, because honestly, I'm kind of tired of pricing them and researching them. But with my other lister is listing collectibles and breakables. So I can just switch from my daughter's drafts over to my friend's drafts, and then I'm off of the motorcycle pins. I was surprised because if it were me, I would want to switch. I'm like, I can give you something else to list for a while and you can come back to the Harley pin. But I think she knows she's got speed on those pins and she's getting paid $2 a pin. So she's like, no, I'm good. Cause she's definitely money motivated, which is fine with me because I'm getting, hundreds of listings up a week.
Yeah, I agree with them. The money motivation with the kids and employees and stuff is always the best bet, because they list once they get it down, it's like a quick process. I go for quantity for everything we do because I think that's the best. Obviously, dollar amount, but everything's quantity. I purchase in quantity, try to list in quantity. I used to get bored with some items, but then when you like one specific category, when you run a category, if you've got enough to dominate the category, you run the prices. Your prices will
Yeah.
start to affect the sold prices. And once you've sold enough and you're the dominating factor, you're controlling what's going on with the pricing structure in the categories that you dominate in. And that's a big plus for our business, because I think we're like button cap. I'm probably the number one seller in all of eBay. We're probably the number one in Victorian trade cards and stuff like that. What's your favorite? I know you love the pins, and we talked about Hullycraft because that's one of my favorite vintage costume jewelry companies out there. But is that one of your favorites?
Lately it's been the jewelry and the linens. That's kind of been my two here lately. But like I said, I watch for auctions with higher dollar. Like I love doing Yadro, and I do the big Yadro pieces that are several $1,000s. I don't, get like the tiny
Did you
little
just sell one of
Yadros.
those not too long ago for some high dollar?
Yeah, I delivered it in Washington DC a week and a half ago. It was, I think, 2,200, and I paid $800 for it. So it was over $1,000 profit. and then some large Disney Kappa Di Monte pieces. But those higher dollar pieces, just like we were saying, like they're not coming up on auction every day, just like they're not in the thrift store every day. But typically, and I think that's where like saving your money and reinvesting and holding it, because when I see those auctions, I'm spending a lot of money. And if you're, you know, not kind of putting some back to be able to make those big buys, then that auction with all of the high dollar stuff, you're not gonna be able to buy it, you know. So if I bid on an auction, typically I'm spending thousands of dollars and making it worth my time.
Yeah, we actually have just a bank account where it's funds to buy, and that's all we do with that is for purchases on them. We'll do the exact same thing. I don't care if something's $5,000, I'm gonna buy it. We shelled out 5, 10. I bought 10,000 records. We've bought, you know, massive quantities where you're talking shelling out some money. If you're gonna blow it as soon as you get it and not penny pinch it. Every time you save is a dime that you're gonna make. That gives you more money, more buying power. I can out purchase from most of the other folks. So the smaller ones around here, if somebody needs to sell a big collection, they're coming to me, or they're probably going to come to Cat, I would gather too, because that's where a lot of our stuff comes from these days. I can out purchase most of the people in the categories. And again, I know those categories. That's so if you don't know them, obviously that's going to be a hindrance to you. What was your biggest surprise, Kat? I mean, obviously you had an idea, having been a seller for a long time. What was the biggest surprise when you quit your job? I mean, was there some relief? When we first moved out of a place, free falling from Jerry Maguire, when he's, you know, he just quit. That's how I felt. And, you know, was there one of those moments or something that was like a refreshing thing that you were surprised about?
I think like you were saying earlier, the freedom. So like we went up to Pennsylvania, we stopped at Myrtle Beach on the way back up and back. And I'm like, oh, I can stay 3 days after. Like, I don't have to be home. I'm not having to ask work for extra days off and can kind of do what I want. I'm lucky I have my husband here who he can run the eBay business himself. So like I was putting up drafts. I was still working, you know, I was in Myrtle Beach. I was in Pennsylvania drafting my, you know, making my drafts live. So I was still listing. And same with the YouTube. I was going live from Myrtle Beach from Pennsylvania. So I love the actual freedom and like I don't have to get up at a certain time. And if I want to take a nap, I can take. And everybody thinks I don't take naps because they think I'm always go, go, go. But I love naps. I'm all about taking a nap.
Taking a nap. Okay.
I like naps. I because a lot of times I get up really early, even though I don't have to. So I'll still get up at, you know, 6 o'clock in the morning
Here,
and I'll have a ton of stuff done by 10 and 11. So at noon, I might, you know, take a little nap and get back up and be ready to go again.
Well, they changed our postal person changed, so they come like 2 hours earlier. So I've got to have everything wrapped by 9:30 in the morning. And when you're selling,
see, ours comes at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Ours comes late.
Ours used to, but we've got like 3 different people that rotate through it, and one shows up at today. They were here before 10, and I just finished it. I was kind of slacking off. I usually get up like 5:36, so I fully get that too. I've done.
Do you do all of your shipping, Dawn?
Usually it's one of the kids or somebody's here. I'm up in the morning, so I usually help just because I need it out of my way. But I don't personally do it. We've got some that goes out UPS and some that goes out other services too. One of the kids takes it at the end of the day because we ship usually like 3 different shipment runs in a day. I don't know about you, but UPS or the post office is the first one that we have to get out, and then UPS comes at a certain time. We got a couple other businesses, so we ship out some of our own toys and some other artwork, and I do some publicity. I do some postcards that we design and we ship out anyway. I do other stuff, so there's a lot of other stuff going on besides just eBay for us. We do Amazon too, of course, and a lot of that goes out via different means. And obviously, we do the FBA shipments and stuff. But you know, I don't know how heavy.
Yeah, I was doing FBA and I had to pull back from it just because for me, with just like being the main one doing it, I felt like I couldn't concentrate on both. I probably could add it in a little bit now. But at the beginning, I felt like I was so pulled between FBA and eBay, and just the way I source, I'm definitely more geared towards eBay. So I still have an Amazon account, but I haven't sent anything in years.
Well, we sell vintage stuff, which with Merchant Fulfilled actually on Amazon these days.
Okay.
Well, I've sold
which
you.
is something I could probably do.
If you're not like we're ungated in collectibles. I don't think they're opening up gating, but most of the stuff that you could sell in wall art anyway. You know,
Yeah.
pictures and even graphics, postcards. People saw the postcards who aren't ungated in collectibles and wall art, and I've recommended other people. They're and print ads sell fairly well and stuff like that on there too. Surprisingly enough, people are always surprised. I sell 78 records on eBay all the time, or on Amazon all the time, which is always surprising to people. But yeah, you can
Yeah.
sell any of that over there. You were doing Mercari, were you not?
Yes, I was.
Is that a touchy subject, or should I not ask
No,
about that?
no, not really.
Because
I
I'll just say why. Because I've had two other people who had the exact same experience, including a Patreon I've talked to for probably almost 4 years, that were so upset they locked her money. And I won't
Yeah.
get into it because I don't have permission to tell the story. But you want to maybe discuss that a little bit if that's not prying too much.
Yeah. Yeah,
I've had
no, I'm
people ask.
perfectly
That's
fine with
why.
that. Yeah, I've been selling on there for a year and a half, sold thousands and thousands of dollars. And then one day they said, your account is closed. You were selling counterfeit. And I do a lot of vintage. I don't do a lot of like name brand clothing or shoes. And I'm like, what am I selling that's counterfeit? They never answered me. And after that initial message, they took all of my listings down. So over 3,000 listings, they froze my funds. I was kind of OCD about pulling out my funds. So I only had like $58. It was a low amount for me. And I kept asking them, tell me what you're accusing me of selling counterfeit. No answer at all. And then a month later, and I know some of my viewers in that video got a lot of views. They messaged them, and Mercari actually messaged me, apologized, gave me my account back. So I have access to it, but I absolutely refuse to use it. And I hear from people in the same situation as well, because I think it happens to them, and then they start looking, they find my video. I know one person right now, they're holding like over $600 of their funds, which I did get my funds back. And I got, like I said, I have access to use Mercari right now, but I'm choosing not to, because I feel like that could happen at any moment for any random reason.
No, again, I've had the person that I've talked to for years was, you're talking $1,500 of her money that was held, and something that she needed with, she wasn't too worried. She had the money sitting there, and then wham, they locked the door on her. The only reason I want to bring this up here is because there's people who eBay have shut down. There's a British Nick and I don't remember the name of them, but it's a British couple. They seem very nice and seem to be legit and all, but they shut them down for a little while and kept their money and all that stuff. Don't ever, people say, well, should I cross list? Should I do this? Should I do that? The site that you're on should tell you right off the bat, whatever site that is, that you can't trust just one site. Might not be intentional with your case. It might not be intentional with the folks, that British couple, but it can happen. You've got a payment provider that's the stumbling block for a lot of this. And if they think something, I've only had my PayPal account shuttered once for an issue, and I was buying, what was it? It was Iranian buttons, and they were from the British Empire. They were under British control at the time. So they were illegal items, not produced under the current state. They locked our account, and we had a terrorist thing filed against us. And it was a big ordeal for a little while there, but you never know what's going to happen. And that's why I personally, and I was talking to Don Primetime Treasure just the other day about some other stuff. You can't trust that the site you're on is going to be your only source of income. You can't trust that they're going to do everything right, that something isn't going to happen. And I don't know how many times someone has contacted me. I'm sure you might have getting similar ones where they're in tears, they're upset. And the person who had her account, my patron who had it locked, she was very upset. She has kids and stuff. And I talk about this before too, because there's a single mom that I talked to and a single dad I talked to, and things happen. Drastic things happen. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't rely on someone else. We're kind of working for eBay, Kat was kind of working for Mercari for some extent, because they can shut you down. So I've learned that lesson in the past. Don't ever stick all your eggs in one basket. You'll be so much
Yeah.
better off at the bat. Let me just shout out, if you're enjoying the conversation, we've probably went close to an hour and I haven't even said it yet. Please slam that thumbs up. I'm terrible on starting that stuff. I kind of get locked up in the conversation here. Hang on just a second here. Most rewarding aspect, I don't even think I need to ask, because I think the time aspect, your time with your kids is, I missed, first words, first steps. So trust me, I fully understand that. I've got older kids now, but still, that's just the brakes on it. One thing that I talk about and I try to warn people was, what did I do wrong when I started that got me in the biggest trouble? For me, way back in the day, it was I wasn't quick on shipping. What would you have done differently at this point, Kat, had you had a chance to start over? What was your biggest failing point just starting as a new reseller or going full time?
I think it's kind of still, I'm not going to lie. I think I still have an issue with like returns and customer service, and I take stuff personally. And I think trying to move into that business, I need to hire someone to to be my customer service, because I'm not exactly great at it. I had somebody today, my husband shipped while we were in Pennsylvania. He forgot to take the salt and pepper out of the salt and pepper shakers. They were extremely angry. I told them, I'm sorry, I normally do it. My husband shipped. And they're like, well, that doesn't make me happy. And I told them I would, give them a full refund if they would like to send them back. And they're like, that's not how I do business. And I said, look, like, what will make you happy? Are you just messaging me to tell me what I did wrong so I don't do it again? Or what kind of resolution are you looking for? So I think, and I tell my viewers that a lot, like it's not personal. It's not personal, but it's hard not to take that stuff personally, especially, it's your business. But looking at it from the buyer's end, especially if it's, your mess up, so I think that's something I'm continually working on, like with returns, which I have under 0.5% returns. I don't get a ton compared to the volume that I send out. But the people that return it because it was too big, even though there were pictures with the tape measure in it, I think just dealing with that. I'm horrible about answering eBay questions too. If it's like a $12 item, I'm like, no. And I don't, I'm not going to lie. I just don't answer them. I just leave it sitting there, and I figure if they want to buy it, they'll buy it. And so I think customer service and answering the questions is something that I need to get better at.
Yeah, I used to be terrible. Well, not terrible, but these days, if $10, I answer everyone, or I try to, unless it's one that's trying to hit me up because YouTube or something else. I don't address any off eBay topics at all on eBay. It's just my thing. I don't know about you, but people contact me on there trying to get me to answer questions and stuff, and that's my place of business. At least that's how I look at it. So jewelry and cloth is your favorite one. Is there something else that you're looking to get into with, let's say, like, I know Dom, I sell comics, Dom sells comics. There's quite a few people that do well. Are you looking into collectibles? Have you thought about that at all? Or is there another area that you're looking specifically for?
I've done some art. I would really like to learn more about art, and I've been buying more, and I'm sure the whole pay to learn, buy lots of it, research it, learn about it. And I have done okay with quite a bit of art, but there's so much to learn. So I would really, and I think there's a lot of money there. I'm not scared to ship them. Like, that's a vintage needle point that's framed there that probably will sell over $100, $5 at Salvation Army. And I found several paintings that, for dollars that I sold for hundreds. So I would like to learn that. I tried when Dom and I first started talking years ago. I bought some comics and I sent Dom pictures, and I failed. I broke even. I did not make a penny on them. And I'm not interested in that. So I think that's the big thing, where art and paintings and stuff like that, I appreciate, even though I collect nothing. So I know a lot of people are like, how do you sell that? Well, I don't collect anything. So I sell everything. So I think doing, the art aspect, especially, I buy it almost all the time if I can find it cheap and just research it and learn. And I do glass and collectibles, but again, it's a problem of sourcing, of being able to get that and those auctions coming up few and far between with the states that have stuff in Florida. Pennsylvania is full of art, glass, and collectibles. Florida, unless you find, a transplant that moved down here, you don't see much of like the art, glass, and collectibles. Even on the auctions, it's kind of sporadic because
Have you
I
went
want
down to
enough
Miami?
to make it worth driving.
Have you went down to Miami? West Palm, we used to find nice stuff down there. I don't know about.
I'm about 5 hours from there. And actually, we're talking about going to the Keys in June. And one of my viewers lives down there. And she asked me to go sourcing in Miami with her. So I might, coming up this summer, go look down there. Because, yeah, there's a lot of money in South Florida. I'm in North Florida, close, kind of closer to Georgia, where it's really, really rural. It's lower income areas. So finding like that higher dollar.
Like Lake City area or?
I'm an hour from Lake City, but yeah, pretty not far from Lake City. So like that northern rural area, and just the money isn't
like
here. So that's where
like St. Mark's area or?
Oh, so Panhandle wise, I haven't. So my favorite auction I was saying that I got the dollar boxes from is halfway between here and St. Mark's. And then a lot of my higher dollar collectibles have come out of like Clearwater area. And I went down to Fort Myers. Yeah, I went down to Fort Myers too.
We used to stay at, what was it, Sand Dollar Hotel. It was on the A1A up near Sarasota, St. Pete, Bradenton area. There was a ton of shops. I don't know what it is like down here, but we always made it a killing there. Either that or when we went down to Miami was always good. But we did Renninger's and Mount Dora and Webster's. And
yeah, I did okay at Renninger's. I went in November and then I went again in January, and I did okay. I got a lot more the first time. I think a lot of the sellers there are a little more savvy as far as knowing the value of things, but that goes to, you got to find the people that don't. So a couple of people that I talked to that just went to like a few booths, and they're like, no, this is way overpriced. But we would end up like in the back 40 and find those people. And a lot of them, I feel like, knew what they had, but they were trying to move volume. They got it really cheap, so they're trying to just make a little bit of profit. So the booths that I did buy from, I spent hundreds with, but there were only 4 or 5 from hundreds of vendors. But when I found a good booth at Renninger's, that I spent the money.
Yeah, that's almost like buying a big bulk. When you're there, it's just like a whole bunch of dealers, and there's only like 4 or 5. Like if I go to a antique mall, everybody says you're not going to make any money there. Well, there might be 400 vendors. There's 5 or 6 booths that I can always make money at, and I know those booths. I've got I only go to the same places usually, and I'll hit those specific booths, and that's about it, because the rest of the place isn't worth it. It's like cherry picking antique mall or a flea market or Renninger's or anything else like that. Now you've got a shed, which I'm assuming is what you're sitting in right now.
I have two sheds. I have 2 sheds.
Didn't you just get one in? Isn't that what?
No, so actually, we're waiting on a third. So this one is bigger than tiny houses. This one's 12 feet by 40 feet with triple lofts. This one I had custom built. So this one's really big. We have like our shipping station over there. You can see like the boxes, and that's my shipping station. And then I have my desk where I'm sitting. And then we have another 12 by 24 for inventory. But my husband is getting ready to start back his woodworking business. And it was supposed to be done last week, and they're telling us it might be 2 more months because of wood supply issues and labor.
I've heard that.
So we're not too thrilled with that, because we paid cash and they haven't even started building it, and it's been over 2 months now. So
yeah, if you're shelling out the cash, we're looking for something. We want to just get something with a huge outbuilding, like a warehouse size stuff. We've been looking and looking. It's very slim pickings with all the economy going right now, which has been the biggest issue. Probably something similar to delivery.
If you want custom built, they're having issues with supply and labor right now. So it's like mine. I've had it a little over a year. So I got this one right before lumber prices started going up. I ordered it in December of 2020.
So did you figure out that would be cheaper to actually buy as opposed to renting storage space, I'm assuming?
I think the big thing for me is that it's right outside the back door. So I didn't want to have to drive somewhere to work. This is separate. Like I can come out here and like Dalton's not out here, so he can stay inside if I need to work and have quiet time. But I didn't want to have to drive because we are so far out, and it's not horrible. It's like 10 minutes to town. We're like 7 miles outside of town. It feels like we're in the middle of nowhere. But I didn't want to have to get up and have to drive somewhere to like get my inventory or list. So I have 11 acres where I'm at. So I could even get a third and a fourth shed if I get to that point, because I have plenty of land. And I would rather, for me, it's just staying home. Like I don't have to go my husband will bring like the UPS out, like, and I won't leave home for like weeks. I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Now, I know I've seen a video or two of yours talking about HiBid. How is that one of your favorites to purchase from?
That is my number one. And I have my tutorial how-to, and everybody, and I'm sure you get this. They want to know, why are you telling everybody you're going to ruin it and the prices are going to go up? There are millions of listings. There are millions of people. There's plenty of stuff. There's no shortage of stuff, and there's no shortage of buyers, you know? And so for me, if I can help people to learn and give them information, then that's what I'm going to do. And again, you know, I don't know if you feel like this. I feel like probably 10 to 15% of the people watching me are probably actually taking that information and doing something with it. A lot of people are just watching. I get a lot of messages of people wanting me to do stuff for them, which is not why I'm here. I'm here to teach people not to do it, you know, for the whole teach a man to fish thing. You know, I'm not giving any fish away. But I'm willing to teach people. So I use that. I also, I have a local one that I actually found by signing up on an email list at an estate sale, and they have, you know, their own platform. So I have one, and I think they have like 10 estate companies on it. It's kind of grown over the years that use it. And then I've got like max sold and proxy bid, which it really is dependent upon your area. I do live sourcing as part of my paid membership too, by their zip code. And some people I can find nothing on HiBid, especially West Coast California people. We have to go to other auction sites. So I think that just goes to show, you know, you got to find what's in your area, even with the auction sites.
Yeah, HiBid takes some time for those new folks coming on there to pay attention to what's a good deal and what's not, and what's around you. I've done a lot on HiBid. We've used that for years. I'm notorious on what's the other one? Auction Zip. We're always looking at, and then
I think I've only used that one once or twice.
It's about the same thing, just not as big. It's just mostly a local ones. Like you with the local ones, most areas we've come to the conclusion, most areas will run a small, like a local auction website. And they do that here too, where everything at their estate sales just be thrown up online, and they'll run it for like 10, 12 days or whatever they run around here. And sometimes there'll be like 5 or 6 of those from the estate sale companies, especially with COVID and winter months and stuff. Those can be really good because a lot of people just assume that there's nothing to be had and they won't bid. And just like you said, 15%, 10%, the majority of people who watch my videos and probably yours aren't going to follow through with this. I say this number before. 1 in 3 people out there are going to succeed at running their own business, and the other 2/3, it just may not be for them. Nothing wrong with that. Just may not be their thing. And I think those numbers are pretty solid from the amount of people that I talk to. I get people tell me they're not making enough and they've got to quit or figure something else out, and nothing wrong with that either, of course. But is that your best one though? Is HiBid, as you said, that's your best favorite?
Yeah, by far. HiBid is definitely, and I buy some on their shipped as well as local. Local, I'll drive up to 4 hours each way. But if I'm looking for some specific things, then I will pay for shipping. Like the Harley pins were out of Texas. That was not a local auction.
And that was shipped. I'm assuming you wouldn't drive that far.
It cost a lot. It cost $130, but I didn't just have the Harley pins. I had Swarovski ornaments. I had Harley patches.
Was that
I had pocket watches.
Was that for the shipping 130?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not, if you're getting all that. I mean, people say, hey, well, you got to think about shipping. But if you're buying in bulk like that, man, I've had animation cells, like 150 pounds of them shipped from
Yeah.
California. So, I don't care what it is. If the value is there, you weigh in the cost of shipping into it, the cost of your time, or whatever the case may be, and off you go. I don't think that's just like your drive time. People say, well, that's a lot of driving. The bearded picker, I don't know if you know who he is, Scott. I know
Yeah.
he always would talk about people complaining, well, you're driving all the time. Well, that's figured into your profit margin. If that's what it
Right.
needs to be to get it, he already knows what he's getting when there. I'm Kat. You're more like me, more along the lines. I'm more of a targeted sourcing. I don't go out unless I have to go pick something up. I'm not gonna. I don't need
Yeah.
to. My sourcing's boring. It would be pointless to show a video of me looking at a picture, making phone calls, and then just driving and picking something up. That's mostly what we do. I don't know about you, but
Yeah,
that's
I'll do some hauls. Like if I think people will be interested in what I get. I haven't really shown like the bidding side. I've shown like the way it works. And with high bid, I think one of the biggest thing, especially for shipping, is not all of the auctions offer shipping. And I've seen a lot of them that don't want to ship. So they will charge you like $10 a lot, plus the
the
shipping cost.
shipping.
So you got to really pay attention to their, what they're doing. But I agree as far as the driving, like if I spend 3,000, that's probably 20,000 in inventory for me at least. So for me to drive 8 hours is nothing, for $15,000 in profit. I'm fine because it's one haul. I'm not like going hoping I'm going to get something. I know that I am going to get that inventory. So I don't mind driving at all. And I will go to thrift stores if they're out at like Clearwater. As we said, there's better stuff there. So I will, while I'm down there picking stuff up, I'm gonna stop at a thrift store or two. And I've found some expensive stuff down there while I'm going down to the auction to pick up stuff.
Well, I think it's alternate 19. I think was the highway up there that was the
Yeah,
best
I
for all that
actually
stuff.
live right off 19, and 19 does run all the way down to Tampa Clearwater.
I think literally the Pinellas Boulevard, I want to say, in Bradenton, there used to be a massive thrift store down there that we used to find just incredible stuff. I lived in Orlando area, so we hit all the Orlando ones back in those days. But yeah, I
Yeah.
used to love to go to those. With high bid too, I haven't seen that specific video, but I know with high bid, we just sort it by, how far away they are. You can do that with
Yeah,
auction
that's
zip
what
and
I do. The crappy thing for me where I'm located, so like Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Tampa, they're all a little bit over 100 miles from me, and high bid has no. Oh, my phone thinks I'm talking to it. High bid has no option between 100 and 250. So I have to go, like if I put 100 miles, I will see nothing. But if I up it to 250, there are probably 5 to 10 that are like 110 miles away. They're just over. So I actually have to bump up to the 250, and then I just look at the locations to see where they're at. But then I see those nice ones down in Fort Myers and Fort Lauderdale. And I'm like, oh, well, and that's how I end up driving 5 hours. So I actually spread it to the 250 miles.
so let's talk about, we know where you're at, we know where you've been. What's your future endeavor? What are you looking for? What do you see yourself doing a year from now, 5 years from now? Obviously you're not going to quit doing reselling. It sounds like you're pretty much hooked and this is it for the rest of your life. That's what it is for me anyway. Where do you see
Yeah.
yourself a year, 5 years? And then a secondary on that, if it's a drastic change, do you have a plan to get there?
So I think this camp a week from tomorrow is one of the things I would really like to develop, doing in-person training. For me, as far as my YouTube, I really love teaching. That is just like what's hit home for me, being able to help people, hearing people's successes. Though that small percent that does listen and comes back and tells you, look at how much I'm making, it's because of you. That's like my big draw as far as YouTube. So I am hoping, knock on wood, because the first one's a week from Friday, that I can do more in-person trainings. I have thought of, and my son is in my rental right now, but getting like an Airbnb and setting up almost like a eBay boot camp in person, where I could do one-on-one, like 1 day intense, hands-on listing, packing, photographing, shipping. So I would like to kind of go towards the teaching aspect a little more. And I do have a second. My Orlando booked out, sold out. So I have one booked in Tennessee as well. So hopefully the two of those go well and I can continue to do that. And of course, like I love YouTube. YouTube has been a great addition as far as income as well. I have my memberships, which definitely help support. And my favorite is my middle level, which is the sourcing, because I get to go shopping and not spending my own money. And then again, hearing people come back, hey, you found this for me on HiBid. Look at how much it sold for. So I think just for me, kind of cultivating the educational part of it, and I might at some point, do like a virtual camp, like I'm doing with, my in-person camp. I've had people ask because they physically can't make it there. So that's definitely something I want to kind of cultivate, but I probably will never stop. I don't think I will ever stop reselling. I love it so much. And it doesn't feel like work. I could work 10 or 12 or 14 hours a day, but it doesn't, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It doesn't feel like I'm actually working.
So with what you're doing, basically they have to bring their own, like a laptop or something and some items to list. Is that what you're doing?
For the camp, I'm going to do it like a seminar. So we're going to do classes from like beginning, like organization, different ways to like organize inventory. We're going to do like listing. I'm going to go over keywords because again, I'm big on keywords. And then I'm going to bring photo booths. A lot of people are flying in, so I'm not really having them bring their stuff. I'm thinking more like hands-on, show them how we're doing it, let everybody kind of go through. And if they have questions, I capped it out at 25 people. So it's 25 people. It'll be kind of a smaller group. And then like American Bubble Boy is like giving everybody free rolls about. I have a couple of sponsors that are my affiliates that have kind of kicked in way more than I expected, and they have said they will for this camp and all future camps, which is absolutely, it kind of blew me away. I said, hey, can you give me a bubble wrap, a roll to give away? And he said, I'll give everybody a roll. And I'm like, so the generosity has been amazing. And then George the Antique Nomad is going to be there. He's going to do a class on sourcing antiques and like listing vintage collectibles. So it's going to be like class. It's going to be like 2 full days of class. And then I'm definitely going to give everybody a form, get some feedback, because that is the first one, to kind of see what I need to reevaluate and what I need to do different.
Yeah, we thought about doing stuff like that too. I don't know if that's my thing or not yet. I haven't come to that yet, but I get that.
I don't know for sure until after next weekend. Then I'll see.
I used to have a one-on-one coaching thing, and it was a lot of money, but there was people willing to pay it, and I felt weird doing it, and that's, I guess, what turned me off. I actually ended up canceling those who had that membership level, and haven't done it since. It took a lot of time to. I mean, it was expensive though. Like 95, I think it was. I think for the once a month, one hour, whatever it was expensive. I think it was only 30 minutes, honestly. It's been a long time.
I do one-on-one coaching. I don't push it and I don't advertise it much. I do $200 for the month, but that's like one phone call and kind of evaluation, and then kind of text messaging, email support throughout. I will do a couple of phone calls if I have to, but primarily almost everybody, I can kind of pinpoint what their issue is and what they need to do just in that first phone call. After doing it so long, it's easy from the outside looking in to kind of see, okay, you need to do this, this, and this. And normally by the end of the first week, they're like smooth sailing, good to go. And they might reach out, once or twice a week to get help. But I keep that low. I do like 3 to 4 people. I don't do a ton just to make sure I'm available. But yeah, for me, that too, that's another thing I need to cultivate. I should get feedback from the people I've already done it for, just to see how I could make it work better. But as you know, like we're, short on time, so we can't, give a ton of time like daily or anything like that.
Yeah, I get that. I've got hundreds of Patreons and I get a lot of emails. So I don't, if I answered all the emails I got, I mean, some days I could get a couple hundred emails. If it was text coming in like that, I'd be dead in the water. I mean, I love answering for the Patrons because they're interested. They're the 10%, the 15% mostly. So I
Yeah.
would hate to have to deal with the text, I guess. I think I'm not a phone person, so that
See, I
drives.
don't mind it. Yeah, I am. I am. I've almost always got my phone in my hand or in my pocket. So for me, it's kind of second nature and I don't mind doing it. I'm getting as the channel is growing bigger though, the amount of messages and emails is steadily increasing. So that's another, trying. And I still am at the point where I can answer everybody, but I definitely could see where it would get to a point where
I
I
can.
won't be able to. And I think that's going to be hard for me.
Yeah, I used to answer everybody on YouTube when we first started, but after I hit a certain point, they come in so quickly when we've got like I don't know 15 or 1600 videos and some of them from 2-3 years ago still rotate fairly well. So I there's just no way, man. In 20 minutes I could have 50 new comments. There's just no way I could
Yeah.
address it. I know
And
it
I'm still
TikTok.
answering. I'm still answering mine. I'm kind of OCD. I spend a lot of time doing it.
I can't do that
But
time. I just the
yeah,
reselling always overtakes everything else, it seems.
yeah. Yeah, I've started where I'll just like and heart them if I don't have to answer them. And that's been hard for me because I was like, even if they just left emojis, I was answering them. And now I get to where I'll just, like their comment and let it go.
You can always tell if, like on my end, if I post a video, I usually answer one or two of the first ones that come in. But if there's no answer, maybe the kids might have posted it too, because I let the kids post videos and stuff like that.
Okay.
The time factor is just huge. Let's talk about that because, geez, probably half the people that I talk to or I look at stores and do store reviews and stuff, it always comes down to time factor being their biggest problem. If you're going to figure out where you're deprived in stuff going on in your business, figure out pros and cons, and it always comes down to a funneling where time is involved. Like with you pricing and me or the wife pricing, if I had to price everything, it would be slowly decreasing my amount of stuff we can get up because we've got to feed the machine. I've got to give all of our people, our listers, stuff to list on a daily basis. So what's your time aspect? Are you good on managing time? Is there any recommendations or thoughts you have on what you've done if you have had time issues?
I think like this vacation that I just went, I mean, it was a working vacation, but like that for me now, I have over 100 drafts sitting there. So that's been kind of rough to come back. And now I'm trying to catch up to that. Um, so I, I think that, I think that I probably should have set aside time while I was, on my trip because it was a working vacation where now I wouldn't have 150 that are sitting there because when I'm at home, I keep up with them because it's maybe 30 to 50 per day,
You're talking about
that they're
drafts.
doing
You're talking
the
about.
drafts.
So,
Yeah.
so just curiosity sakes, why are you doing them as drafts instead of just directly listing them?
The ones that they're doing, if I do them, they
Oh, okay,
automatically
okay.
go up.
So
But like
you have
this
to.
week, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so you don't let them post all the way through.
No,
So
none
you
of
can
them.
set them up so they have their own account, so you can see who does what.
I have it how I did it where I could see is I have one of them puts like 1,000 for the buy it now, one puts 2,000, one puts 3,000. So that's how I've like been able to tell like who is listing what.
Well, they can have their own login under your account.
I looked into that, but I never followed it through. So with that, would it show like their amount of drafts?
You'd know who did what.
Okay, I might need to look into that again. I
I'm
might
just
need to look into it again.
I used to do the drafts, and I looked at so many of them, and it just seemed to be this, let them list, and then I usually just go through and double check them at the end of the day if I feel like, because then I don't have to do anything else. Again, this is just me. Obviously, everybody has a different way, but I'm
Well,
just
yeah,
curious.
they're not knowledgeable enough to price. That's my big thing. So, like I said, I'm tweaking the title and the pricing. I'm not doing any listing this week because I'm working on my presentations for the camp next week, which is hard. Like, I'm like, you cannot list them because I have the drafts coming in. So, I'm getting listings up for the store. But I don't have the time for me, to actually do listings, which, like I said, that has definitely, it's been hard. It's been hard to make myself not do listings.
Well, what we found works good for us, again, this is just us, is we got a postie for everything. We'll just write keywords. They know the basics at least. They'll put the keywords in there and they'll have a price. And if they need a weight, if it's something odd, usually they're doing the same type of items for an hour or two. And then, there's no, we did the drafts. I only asked because I see a lot of other people asking, well, such and such says always do drafts. It wasn't about you, but just in general. And I
Yeah.
never got the draft. If you got it ready to go, the more you get up, the quicker they're going to sell it. Just, I understand your point completely, but for those, I thought you maybe had some scheme you were doing because of, I hear it from constantly about people set up drafts. I never
No,
had
no, I'm with you. If the work's done, list
hit
it.
it up.
That's why
Yeah.
I'm going crazy because I know everything's done but the pricing and maybe some keywords on that. So I have thought about that as well, like you said, where like with these Harley pens, I could pull out the ones that are more and be like, okay, all of these are $14.99, where they could go ahead and when they finish. And I did that. I did that with like a DVD bulk buy I bought because I was like, just we're pricing them all the same. And I could probably do that pretty easy with hankies too, because I typically do 15, 20, or $25. And then I wouldn't like that would save me that work for sure.
Yeah, we do something similar to that too. If we've got like buttons, I'll just for an example, if there's 50 buttons, all the same time frame, same year, same pricing, same size, I just put a common note, and they've got it. Everyone in that bag is all done the same way. Or if it's posters or postcards or geez, toys, action figures, the same way. All the action figures here are set price, and they go from there. Of course, my I don't. You've got newer employees, some of them, than I do. So ours
Yeah.
have been doing this for my sons have been doing this for like 5, 6, I don't know how many years now. So I think they've pretty much got it down there.
So do
Now,
you
one
source with that in mind?
with what in mind?
With like having similar items that will be able to be grouped together. So as far as like your pricing and things like that.
I don't necessarily intentionally do it, but what seems to happen is if I get we just got like sitting over here, there's probably about 8,000 postcards. That's just happened to be what the lot was. So those are all going to be able to be priced in bulk numbers like that. We had some posters. I had some record store posters advertising LPs from the 90s and stuff. They're all pretty much the same price. So all the 11 by 17s will all be 57.50 in this group, 34.50 in here. And one of the kids listed, I think, like 470 of those posters, and like within like a 4 or 5 day time frame. And they were all pretty much either one price or another. Every one of them in there. There might have been a handful that were different price, but we only worry about lot wise. I only look for big purchases, and I only look for purchases that are of interest to me these days. I pass on so much stuff that I don't care about. I'm not interested.
Right.
Like you said, there's so much stuff to sell. I sell what I like. And if I'll get bored with something like you were talking about too, and I'll just put out something else. I mean, I've got, geez, if I could pan out and walk you around a few hallways here, I've got probably only 20% or less of our merchandise is even listed, and it's probably even less than that. It's probably maybe 10%. We've got a phenomenal. I don't have to probably source it all for the rest of my life, in all honesty. I mean,
Yeah.
truthfully, because like you, we buy in bulk, so I'll sell a couple items out of every lot we get to get my money back. Every
Yeah.
lot, everything in here is paid for. Everything. I don't worry about. I don't have to itemize and all this other stuff either. So we don't do our taxes that way. I don't count each individual item. I don't do any of that stuff. It's all bulk. It's all a cash basis. It's all immediately expensed. So stuff sits here. It's not an ordeal if you handle it correctly. I know where everything's at least, I should say. Not everything, but most of it.
Yeah,
Jewelry
it
wise.
sounds like we do a lot the same because I'm exactly the same way. I do the cash. I don't account for everyone. I will list, enough out of the lot where it's paid for. My stuff's the same, everything that's sitting is paid for. So I'll list the higher dollar and then, maybe some, but that's how I have a lot as well. So but definitely, but I get it paid for fast, and that's the big thing for me, and that's why I like the lots, because you find 2 or 3 good items out of the lot, it's paid for. um and I don't, like, everybody asks me like the individual costs, like I don't do spreadsheets, but I know, like, I got that in a lot, I paid less than $1 each, I know what my profit is, which technically the lot's in the profit, so really the whole sale, is profit.
I do a spreadsheet, but it's just literally this purchase here. There's usually a liner note at the bottom that says, who I got it from. That sticks for each month. I do that. So all my receipts tie to a line number on a spreadsheet. So if I purchase at an auction, my auction sheet goes in there with the printout from what's what. They're all categorized by its office supplies, shipping,
Yeah.
inventory, and admin the same way like that. And I think that's worked the best for us, truthfully. I mean, with two, like selling a couple items out of a lot like that, usually they sell really quick because they're the rarest items that go for the most money, is usually what we
Right.
do. So like
Yeah.
I could have something I purchased an hour ago, list 1 or 2 items that I know will sell, and get my money back like right away. you know
Yeah.
when we do like wholesaler bulk purchases, I can get a letter of guarantee from my bank, which means that the bank will guarantee the payment of that item if something happens and for some reason I don't pay it. With the letter of guarantee, I get merchandise shipped to my house and I've got 30 days to pay for it. So usually what we'll do, even when we buy that kind of thing, wholesale, we did the first one we did was Christian music DVDs and CDs, but we sold enough before that 30 days was up, and we didn't have to shell out a dime. So we never took a dime
Yeah.
out of our pocket because of the letter of guarantee. And I relate that kind of to buying a big bulk lot, because you can just yank something out and have the money back. If you write a check before, I don't do checks anymore these days, but you can write a check if that's how your business model is. And if you're smart, you can have the money back in the bank before that check was even cashed. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing with 30-day bill of lading and with the letter of guarantee. Wholesale is great for stuff like that. And I've given a few sites out here and there on that, but that's our take on it. Again, it sounds like you're pretty much the same philosophy, which is best way to do it in my book.
Yeah,
Would you?
I like to have it paid for fast, and then I know, like, everything else is, straight profit.
Yeah, somebody came over, another reseller I showed, and they were like, "Well, how the heck can you afford to have all this stuff just sitting here? You've got to be. I mean, there's no inventory because I'm paying for the building either way, so it's not going to matter whether this shelf is full or not full, and the merchandise is already paid for." So,
Yeah.
um, let me ask you just a couple quick questions, because people think I'm crazy, that and well, how the heck can you actually not inventory it? How can you not spreadsheet it? I looked this up. I talked to an accountant. As long as you're not switching, you have a valid reason, and you're not doing over $2 million in year in sales, you're allowed to do it. For again, you've got to have an explanation. Is that your same standpoint where you're coming from? I'm sure you've talked to your accountant if he's doing your taxes for you.
Yeah. He's the one that suggested doing the cash method, just because I'm buying so many bulk purchases and lots. We just do money in, money out. And I, like, realistically for me, I'm not going to go and inventory everything. That would, and it's always moving. I have, the custom SKUs as far as eBay. I know where the stuff is. But he's the one that suggested it to me and said that would be the best, as far as, because I don't want to have to go and count everything, and I don't want.
Yeah, we came to the very same conclusion. Again, if you haven't hit that thumbs up, we're 338 people on my end in-house. I got almost 200 thumbs up. If you're enjoying it, please slam that thumbs up there. And I'll say this again so I don't forget. I do have Kat's her website, not her website, her link to her channel right there at the top of the description box. So if you want to pop it in there on the chat, you're always welcome to do that. I should have had it ready to do that for you, and I honestly don't have it opened here. But again, check out Kat. I do have a direct link in there. Let me just step on the taxes for just another minute here. Now, there's a lot of folks out there. If you're just starting off, I would honestly, I don't know about what your feelings are, but I would honestly recommend running inventory to start, just so you can understand how the process works and to make sure that you're keeping track of it. Once you've understood it, once you get bigger, you're allowed to change your setup on how you do inventory. I think Dom and I
I
talked
think
about
just
this.
once, right? I think
Well,
they allow it once for the
you
business.
can do it more often than that. I actually took a couple classes in college on this. You can do it more than that, but you have to have a valid reason. There has to be a business
Okay.
benefit to it. You can't just say, well, tomorrow I'm going to change it to this. You've got to have a reason. If you've went
Yeah.
from like a sole proprietor, you've bumped it up to an LLC, now you're going to an S corp, which is the best if you're making over 75. But with an S corp, you might have different needs and different things to do with it. So depending, I think in the business level, that would be your determination on it. But just my
Yeah.
take on it. I would never want to count inventory. That would take me months to count inventory, because I'd have to count the stuff that's not listed, and that would be, it'd be horrendous. I mean, I'd have to count them by the pound, 100 pounds of this, 200 pounds, literally.
Yeah.
Well, we're heading on the hour and a half mark here. I usually run about an hour and a half. We're going to wrap it up here in just a minute here, but I think I can honestly see the chat. I tried to blow it up here a little bit. I do have vision issues, but if we had any questions real quick, I know I saw some, but I didn't tag them when I saw them. If you saw one in there, I know there was a couple that I wanted to get to, and now I've totally lost it.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sort through them. There's so many on here that, yeah, I see a lot of folks. And I know I'm terrible in calling folks out. I know when I'm talking, I just kind of go in my own little spiel here, and I don't usually do the chat. Is that why you have help usually, like with when George was on?
Yeah, so Julian, my show co-host, he watches the bottom of the chat because I don't leave the top. So I click on the questions as they come in, and I never see the bottom half. And we lately, I think this Tuesday I got to 8:30, because I'm kind of stopping on each question. And then Julian watches the bottom in case, somebody's making a comment about what we're talking about. So I actually he has administrative permissions in StreamYard, so he can, and since we changed that has helped so much, because I can't watch the top and the bottom. And if I scroll to the bottom, you lose the questions at the top.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah, that's why we started doing that, because it's gotten so hectic over time. I until probably a month and a half ago, I could get through all the questions every week, and now it doesn't happen.
I talk too much. I can't. I haven't been able to get through the questions, and I don't know how long. That's my biggest peeve on here, and I take the most flack for not getting through all the questions, but I try to do my best. Let's let Kat say her goodbyes. Any final thoughts or anything else? If you want to talk about any of the other things that you're doing or anything else, it's on you now, Kat.
Yeah, so thank you again, Dawn, for having me on, and everybody for watching. Tomorrow, so last week or the week before, I did a research video. I'm gonna do another one tomorrow on vintage brooches and trinket boxes. So I'm thoroughly enjoying. I've started doing the research for that. So that video will be out tomorrow night at 8:30, and then our live show, which Dawn was just on couple weeks ago, we have our live reseller chat and question show every Tuesday at 8 p.m. So I would love if you guys would come over, and thank you all for watching. And again, Dawn, thanks so much for having me on.
Well, thank you very kindly for coming on. It was semi a last minute. My schedule this last couple weeks has just been all over the place. I don't know about you, but my schedule it could be anything, any different day of the week. I never know what it is, but honestly and sincerely appreciate you coming on. One last call out for those in Patreon. There is a video up. There's a $750 item that you will sell immediately if you check that video out. There's also some pretty cool things I picked up just the other day for $5. You'll get to see those, and they're 2 interesting paper items. I get a lot of chat on that, but I've got another video coming up tomorrow. It's going to be a surprise. We'll be talking about a couple other issues, and something that really surprised me will be in that video too. It'll be something that might scare a few of you folks out there, but it's something that needs to be addressed and called out. So I do appreciate everybody coming on. I thank you very kindly. If you haven't checked out Kat's channel here, again, I have a link in the description box. It's right up at the top. You can't miss it. Click on it. Check her out. She's got some great content. I would honestly recommend, if you haven't seen her channel, to hop on over there and give it a shot and subscribe. I'll let you go at that. Thank you again, Kat. Everybody has a good evening tonight, and we will let it go.